Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dual Access Podcast, where I explore the intersection of data and entrepreneurship. Today, I've got a guest who embodies the spirit of positive impact and efficiency, traits that are invaluable both in data science and in business. He's a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, an entrepreneur, and has an intriguing background in software development. So we're going to get into all of that today as I speak to Ronak Patel, the CEO and founder of Root on Immigration Consultants. Thank you for being here with me today.
Thanks a lot, Andy, for the warm introduction. Much appreciated.
Yeah. Hopefully, I did you some service there. So
absolutely.
Great. Yeah. Great. Okay. So why don't we go ahead and get started? So Ronak, your bio is, as I was going through it on LinkedIn, quite impressive. Let's start from the very beginning. So what motivated you to get into the Canadian immigration industry? It sounds rather niche.
Yes. So basically, while I was in India and I studied, I come from a background of Bachelor's of Engineering in Information Technology. While I was studying my undergraduate studies in India, I also used to work at a firm where I used to prepare students for international exams like IELTS, GRE, GMAT, SET. And during this time, my interest to explore international education increased. And this is when I realized that, you know what, I want to get out of the pond and I want to learn more about the international cultures and see what's out there. And that got me more and more interested to pursue my further education in a country like Canada. Yes.
Okay.
And during that, yes, please.
Go ahead.
Yes. So that's when I opted for a master's in software engineering degree because my previous education was into information technology. And hence I researched a bit, in fact, a lot about Canada, and the place which suited me the most and what I loved the most was Montreal, Quebec. And that's why I chose Concordia University, where I did my master's in software engineering.
Great. So do you speak French then?
Yes. Okay. So I have learned French, but it's just that I understand French as well, but I'm not an expert in French.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's kind of the same way I am with German. I think I understand it pretty well, but I don't have the confidence to speak it.
Yes.
If that makes
sense.
Yeah.
I can find my way around it. I can find my way around it when I communicate. Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about Root on Immigration Consultants. Tell me a bit more about the services that are offered by you. You seem to have quite a broad range of immigration offerings.
So essentially, if I may say, Root on means to inspire people. And I have an experience into Canadian immigration for almost 15 years now. And during my times, spending more and more time with international students, counseling them, working professionals and families immigrate to Canada, I have realized and in fact learned a lot about people. And what largely I have seen is that if I just talk about India, many a times what happens is that if you talk about international students, most of the agents, what I felt, they were not guiding the students well in what programs they should pursue when they are looking for studying abroad, because it's not just about education, it's also about the life after that, the standard of living, career aspects, completely getting out of your culture, getting out of your bubble. So the challenges lying behind that too. We come from such a social culture that we are always surrounded by people. And now when you're all on your own, it is a completely new experience, you know?
Yeah.
So, yes. So what was a major drive for me, that most of the agencies, when they guide students, their guidance is more towards universities or institutions where they can be compensated by the institution for recruiting students. More often than rather what it should be, that we should be guiding students on their passion, on their interest, and based on that guide them to a pathway where they can be more and more successful. So this was the major shortcoming that I saw in the industry, and that got me more and more interested, more and more driven toward the same. So hence, when I started my master's degree in Canada in software engineering, also at the same time I was counseling students, and I kept that going. It was really difficult to manage studies, international experience, roommates, and alongside doing this as well. So after I completed my studies, I got a good job as a software developer. And alongside, I also, because I was passionate to do this job, I also wanted to help more and more people. And this is a regulated profession. So I also had to take another course to study immigration, to become a licensed immigration consultant. So I studied an immigration consultant diploma, gave the national licensing exam. And when I cleared it out in 2017, I just decided that, you know what, we have to do this. So I graduated. I was working as a software developer. I also got married, so various life events. And then after, like, I was also able to get this diploma, due to my very supporting wife. So I was able to do that. And then alongside my job, now I was helping international students, working professionals immigrate to Canada in the most optimal and efficient manner possible, and enjoy my dream of helping and impacting more lives. And gradually, until 2020, when it was really getting difficult for me to manage both business and job, I had to eventually take a stand to focus full time in this immigration business.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so if we talk about the services we offer a wide range of services like study permits, study permit extension, work permits, permanent residencies, spousal sponsorship, business immigration, and various related services. However, what we are more popular for is for challenging cases, complex cases, where, let's say, a student has been refused 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. Let's say a student was, due to peer pressure or due to several other reasons, he was forced to study civil engineering. But his inner passion was not something to study in civil engineering. He wanted to do something related to business. But always they were taught that, you know what, if you want to study abroad, you should always take programs related to your previous programs of study. And hence, despite of the fact that they don't like that program, they have to take that program, spend $35,000 to come and study such a program in which they are not interested in. So I really didn't like that. So I took the plunge, I guided them well, and I said that before getting into something that you don't like, opt for something that you really enjoy doing it. And trust me, I have been able to help so many students live a better life, enjoy a fulfilling career that I'm so very much proud of. And that keeps me going even in rough times. So and many a times, how shall I say this? I mean, not very conservative, but like, if you talk about Indian culture, largely, we come from a little conservative section, like follow some standard practices. You graduate, you take a job, you marry, you have kids. There's a set rule of law kind of things. So many times I have to counsel students just to help them break that ice and see the situation surrounding them. Many times your situation would not be the same as my situation. Maybe you are financially well off that you can not only take your responsibility, but also take a responsibility of your companion, But for others, like who it is difficult, so for him to uplift his own family, he or she might have to look for a good career, get a good job, save. Lot many things lie down there. So that's what I like the most, and this is why. I mean, so many cases. Most recently, I was able to get a visa for a client who had 6 visa refusals. And It's not just very new that I have been doing this. It has been been for quite some time. Recently, we got an approval for a client who was a married client, but for some misrepresentation, for some illegal documentation that was submitted by a fraudulent agent, he got a misrepresentation for 5 years. So he could not come to Canada while his wife was here in Canada for 5 years. And we were able to help him with this case. And now he got his visa approval in 1 month. Trust me, the feeling of getting on that call, I cannot explain that. Like they had tears of joy. And what best than that could be, more fulfilling than money even.
Yeah. It's I've had to go through the immigration experience myself here in the UK, and it's not very straightforward. It's almost like it's intentionally confusing. I
You
don't know
have
if anybody
everything
else.
down there. You have
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
down there in front of you, served on a platter, but also at the
yeah,
same time, you have to prove your intentions to go back to your country of
yeah,
origin,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
while
So
they still
you know,
have a pathway to permanent residence. Yes.
yeah. I mean, I recommend anybody that's going through the immigration experience to hire a solicitor to do it because, or an immigration service to do it because it's going to be done right the first time. At least if they're a reputable one, not like some of the other ones that you
Absolutely.
mentioned. Yeah, and it just makes the whole process so much easier. So I've had to go through that for myself, and now my infant daughter,
Okay.
we have to go. You know, we were able to do that for the UK. We're getting her American citizenship in a couple of weeks, so all of that
Nice.
is just yeah, it's a lot of hassle, and I don't think I would do it right if I didn't have somebody help. But what you're doing is actually much more holistic than that, right? The person I'm working with is literally just getting me my immigration status or my residency or my citizenship. Um, but you're providing almost like life consulting as well. Is that right? You're kind of
I
doing not
absolutely,
just the visa part. Yeah, you're kind of looking after people in a more
absolutely,
holistic way.
yes. I try to see where I'm able to give more value for the services we charge, for the services we offer. I just don't like somehow I feel that whatever price we are quoting, let's deliver more value, two times, three times, four times more value than what we are charging for. And that really gives me joy. Yes. And I really enjoy doing that. And not just me. Like if you see our reviews, the clients who are working with us, they have the same experience with our team members as well because I am very like communicative in that direction that you know what feel that how you would want the advice, what kind of advice would you be looking for when you would be immigrating, we have to deliver that kind of experience, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
yeah. So you know, immigration policies are constantly changing, particularly here in the UK. It's an absolute disaster here right now. But how do you stay updated with all of those changes to make sure that you know you are doing right for people and that you're following the right practices?
Correct. So most often than not, Government of Canada regularly updates, and I keep a check on their website regularly, and I follow some vetted law firms for who are like very professionals for like 40-50 years since the Immigration Act in Canada was launched, and regularly I look for websites, look for news channels, news forums to know. Even like I just talk to people around me just to know more. Let's say if I live in Montreal, Quebec, I try to connect with somebody from Alberta or somebody from
Mhm.
Atlantic province. I talk to my clients to see that you know what, because it doesn't matter. Like let's say if I'm living in Montreal, I may not know about everything of Canada, so I believe, and the best part that I enjoy about my job is talking to customers. When you talk to customers, you know their needs, their pain points, and they have some connections in the other parts of Canada, and we come to know more and more about these areas. So that is really great that I see it. And when I talk to customers, I see that what is the information that I'm missing. So I try to know more about it. I try to do research on Google
Mm.
or various other websites to keep myself updated. And this is
Yeah,
how I know about many more provinces rather than just one.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you mentioned a case earlier where the person was there was a problem with his immigration status where he had to basically he was locked out of applying again for 5 years. Um,
Yes.
it, it, what has been the most challenging case you've had to work on?
Most challenging case, oh my God, like we have 80-85% of the cases that we have are challenging cases.
A
Like,
challenging, yeah,
yes, may it be divorce or may it be a couple who wants to get separated, but they're not getting an official divorce and we have to file for them. They have a child custody, things like that. Somebody who had like various academic backlogs in their previous education and they feel that their life is stuck and they don't have a chance to study anything.
right.
So let me recall. I mean, like I have to recall many, but the most recent, if I talk about it, like is about a most recent client. Let's say we talk about something like 2-3 days ago. The client, she had her whole family now in Canada, whole family here in Canada, her parents, her sister, her brother-in-law, everybody. Now she's the only one in India and she wants to go to Canada. She went through a rough divorce and things happened. The fact that like there's certain details that are a little confidential, but I'll try to be a little discreet while giving you more information
Yeah.
around
Of
this,
course. Yeah.
that they are surrounded by immigration consultants like me.
Yeah.
However, I feel blessed that they opted us for somebody who is remote. You know, they
Right.
didn't choose for like they must have like 50, 100, 150 immigration consultants around them, and still they opted us to help them. and
Yeah.
and the client was in such a situation that we had to change her program. She had now, after getting going through a divorce, she has a child to take care of. She's renting an apartment in India. She has to take care of all these responsibilities, and now not only has she not only she has to take care of herself, but she has to build a career so that she can provide for her child as well.
Right.
So she wanted to study something. So what I decided, that if you're really willing to take a challenge, and she had some related background into IT. So I said that if you're ready to take that challenge, and she had 12 to 13 years of gap now since the last education that she had. I counseled her and I tried to understand her more and more. And I identified that maybe she could be somewhere closer to web programming or web designing. And we were able to get admission into a good program in a public college. And now the biggest hurdle is that the visa approval, because
Right.
pretty much her whole family is there. So the visa officer would be of the opinion that you have strong ties to Canada, and if
Right.
you're coming here in Canada, there are high chances that you're not returning back. So I'm going to refuse a
Right.
visa. So
Huh.
this was the highest risk there. However, we were challenged to get the admission because she has more than 10 years of gap. So many times institutions are not willing to give the admissions. But we prepared cover letters to explain her whole life story, why she is still passionate to do this program, and how it would benefit the not only Canadian economy, but even if she returns back to India. You know, not only she got the admission, we prepared a compelling cover letter for the visa officer. And within no time, within I guess not even a month, we got the visa approval in the very first attempt. Very first attempt. And I'm so glad for her. Trust
Well,
me.
you're changing her life. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
whenever I counsel my client, when I make suggestions, I tell them, today, let's say it's 19th October 2023, you're going to come to Canada to study, let's say in May 2024. We are going to talk in May 2027, and we'll see whether you're happy or not. And I can take that I can make that statement with confidence, because not only I promote that courses or anything like that, because I am offering the programs based on your interest. And if you're interested and passionate about something, you're gonna invest your time and efforts into that meticulously, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
the chances of success there are higher. And not only that, I look for areas where the possibilities of jobs are higher, the transition to permanent residency could be sooner, and all of that. So like, I mean,
Mm.
I try to provide the best possible value, and after that, like, it's little of her luck, circumstances, immigration law.
Sure.
I mean, not everything is under our control, We focus on things that are in our control, and then after it's on to the client as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you also then help companies. You sort of play like a matchmaker role as well, don't you, for helping
Sure.
companies? So you're building these relationships with people that are trying to immigrate to Canada, or that have
Yes.
immigrated to Canada, and you're then helping companies then hire them after their studies and things like that, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So for companies, how we help them find the right talent. Like, let's say many times it is very difficult to find artificial intelligence guy or a machine learning engineer. So I try to find the balance between the need of the employer and the needs of the candidate also. Many times some employers underpay the candidate for the position or the experience that they bring to the table, because somehow based on my experience so far, what I have seen, that they know that maybe you don't have a job. So if you're getting a job, you would be happy with whatever I'm paying you,
Right.
So I try to find that balance that, I have some employees in connection and I make them realize that the candidate has a PhD degree. So I think for a machine learning engineer, and a better salary is around $80,000 to $100,000 at least, if not more. So now what happens is that a candidate who comes on a close work permit, the challenge is that he cannot change the employer. So many a times employers also take advantage of such situations. Not all of them, but there are employers who take advantage of this situation. And because the candidate is on the close work permit, other employers who are interested in those candidates, they're not able to hire because they fear the immigration procedures. Because let's say a software company has nothing to do with immigration process, and sometimes the immigration process could be daunting. It could take 3 to 6 months. So that's when not only we help the client to take us into the picture, keep us at the how shall I say, mediator, and then we communicate the challenges and we tell them how you can facilitate the process and help the employer live a better life, give him the desirable, reasonable, or at least how should I say, deserved salary, and also be happy with your need. You will be able to fulfill your need sooner rather than later, and focus on the right problem where you want the solution, right? And I have done that for a few clients recently, and trust me, they are really happy, really happy.
That's fantastic. I mean, just that's really inspiring the way that you're helping people this whole way. It seems like it's pretty unique that you're doing this kind of whole comprehensive service that you're offering. But the immigration landscape must be incredibly competitive. So what sets your consultancy apart from other immigration services?
So great question, Andy. To be honest, even let's say, how should I say this? For us, we always put the customer first. Always, always. No matter it would be a small case for a post-graduation work permit or for a complex case like a rejected case. And when we consider like a customer-centric approach, I think it has valued us the most. Because when we talk about immigration consulting firms, the challenge comes to scale the firms. Why so? Because it is a, how should I say, it is a legal profession. So the responsibility, the onus comes on me, that I have to make sure that we are not making a single mistake, like even in a checkbox. Do you have a US visa refusal? If I don't select that, this could lead to misrepresentation, and you could still get a ban of 5 years. So we have to be very careful. So we focus on quality immigration. We focus on quality service. So our focus is more on retaining high quality clients rather than serving number of clients, So for students, we are happy if we are able to help 200 students and help build them a great quality of life, standard of living, great career, rather than having 2,000 students.
Right.
So for me, yes, we are a business, profitable business, but for us, quality comes first, and that stands us apart. Just the recent example that I took of the client, she was surrounded by immigration consultants, and her sister is surrounded by immigration consultants in Canada, and still she opted us from somebody from some other province. She saw our cases, she saw our reviews, she saw what kind of challenging cases we have done. So let data do the talking, most of the honestly speaking, many a times we have been into such situations that we have to pause that, sorry, we are not taking clients at this moment. We have to do this. But we are working on how to do better, because at the end, I want to impact more and more lives. This is one challenge that I'm facing, that, in the process of being very qualitative, the ability to cater to a limited set of clients, I believe that many more clients are being missed out, and that's when the other ghost agents are taking the advantage of the same. Why do you want to go to Root on Immigration? Because they must be charging high fees. We are charging you less, and we'll get you this program and we'll give you this and all of that. But eventually, when they come to Canada, like how many clients whom I have counseled, they are lost after arriving in Canada. That I came with the hope that I'll get a good job and everything. But after graduating, like all I have ended up is like getting a Tim Horton or a Subway job and just paying my bills just to pay off my rent, which is even getting more and more difficult. So I'm not happy with this decision. But I try to make them realize that, you should have thought it in the very first place before going just by the words of an agent. You have to do your own research. You have to take the time. Like many times what happens is that people think that the grass is always green on the other side. But you have your challenges everywhere. May it be India, may it be Canada, Australia, UK, anywhere, right? So so this is why the biggest challenge that we are facing now is to scale while maintaining the quality. Yes.
So like, let me walk you through the situation that I'm in right now. So I'm trying to get my my daughter's American passport. We live in the UK, so you have to go to the consulate and all that, right? So the paperwork's different. I'm not married to her mom, so she's my partner. She's my full-time partner, but not my mom, right? So there's all these kind of weird challenges. And I use an immigration solicitor that I've used before. She makes an appointment for me for the U.S. Embassy, and then I get a message from her the day before saying it was canceled because not all the paperwork was sent in. And apparently I was supposed to send in some paperwork, but was never told. I figured you're going to tell me what to do, right? As a consultant.
Yes.
And then, and then yesterday I get the new paperwork and some of the stuff filled out on the forms is wrong. So, but I'm in a situation now where I'm so far along in the process. It's almost,
very difficult to switch the consultant even.
It's too much work to switch consultants. So
absolutely.
How would you advise people in that situation then?
Great. So in such a situation, many times we have faced the same situation. Like recently we have a client. She is a Canadian permanent resident, but her boyfriend is a French citizen living here in Canada with her as a common law partner. But now he's out of status. And they are in a relationship for more than 3 years. So now they want us to represent them for permanent residency. We found a way for sure, but still permanent residency process, it could take a year. And in a complicated situation like that, it could take more than a year also. So we can never guarantee that you will have 100% chances of success. It also is at the discretion, at the mercy of the visa officer also. What best we can do, we can prepare a compelling, a humanitarian, a compassionate case to build the relationship that, how a big important relationship is at stake. So to answer your question, what I have seen so far, to avoid something like this, always look for a process. Do they have a standard process? If you are seeing that there is no process underlying, there is a red flag. Like Indian clients, they want anybody to be on the call right away. If you don't answer a call, they would go bonkers. You know what? Your case officers are never picking up my call. Your city service and all of that. So before onboarding a client, before signing the retainer, before making the first payment installment, we have to introduce them of the onboarding procedure. That after you sign the agreement, you make the first payment, you will receive a document checklist. Based on the document checklist, it would be a custom curated checklist where once you receive, you send in your documents, we review those documents. And our communication policy is 99 or 95% through emails. Why? Because I have an office in Canada. I arrived in India yesterday for some business work. So we have a team here supporting as well. So all of us are in different time zones. Let's say you are in UK, you have a different time zone. We are in different time zones. So the best way to have everybody on the same page is through emails. This is what we feel at this point of time. So let's say
you get documentation as well. Documentation of all the communication and stuff too.
Absolutely. So we have documentation, we have operational procedures and all of that. However, even after having all of that, we still have some communication challenges, but we are able to mitigate that. Why? Okay. Andy sent us an email on 17th October. Let me check his email. My case officer responded to this email on 21st. I'll try to understand during everyday daily saying, why did it take so long? Because this was an important question. Why did it take 3 days? The case officer would have an answer related to this. Oh, you know what? It took me time to research, but they mitigate the high risk challenges that, you know what, you have the time slot of 7 days to respond to this. So this takes precedence.
Yeah.
This is why many a times we have to keep that buffer that, you know what, even if we don't have, like, let's say, even if we have the bandwidth to take 20 more cases, maybe not. We should only take 5 or 8 cases. You may never know. And the biggest challenge that comes in immigration is that they are not going to see whether it is a Diwali or Christmas. We may come up with something a day prior to holidays, and we'll have to address that because that request was not in our control. So that is why we have to inform not only our case officers that, you know what, something like this could happen, and they are okay with it. So we are clear on our side. For the customers, we clearly communicate that something like this could happen. We normally appreciate communication over emails, but if there is something very urgent, we give them 2 to 3 contact numbers to reach out. So the best piece of advice that I can give you in this situation is to look for process. If the firm doesn't have a process, on the very first call, these guys are very good at sales. They have the knowledge. They come from the immigration industry, so they know they can close you as a client. Absolutely, they can do that. But what comes after that is the follow-up process. And that's where the challenge lies in. And when a firm like us deals with so many complicated cases where every case is different than others, it becomes even more difficult to be on the same page. Yeah. But I guess we are just used to it. So, like, process is the answer.
Yeah, you mentioned a few minutes ago that you had to start turning some clients away because you didn't, you just couldn't service them the way you want.
Yes.
How are you going to address scaling the business?
Again, so far, I'm exploring some tools in immigration that would help our case officers automate certain tasks, such as filling out the forms. Because no matter how much diligent or how much vigilant you could be, there's still some chances of human errors. Let's just accept that. So we are trying to incorporate tools. By using tools, trying to reduce some paperwork that, you know what, have you filled in the passport details enough? Have you filled in the last name properly? Have you mentioned that he had a visa rejection from Israel or USA or UK? Have you mentioned he had an overstay for 3 months in Malaysia? This could also be a big deal because these countries share biometrics. So one answer is that I'm trying to look for various solutions. Honestly, I don't have a perfect answer, but maybe we may be planning to do something like, we want to give full control to the client. Okay, do it on your own. Give us for review, where you have full control, or our price would be half what we are costing you.
Yeah.
Many times customers are of the opinion that I want to see what you filled. I want to do this.
Yeah.
What did you fill? What have you done? What have you written in the cover letter? It really makes us feel that, you know what, I see the pain of the customer also, but also at the same time, it sometimes feel frustrating that, okay, at every step, if you're not trusting us, why are we working together in the very first place? So to address this, maybe if we give that flexibility to the client, the stress from our side would be relieved. Okay, Andy, you know what? You take full control of your paperwork. We are going to review that. We are going to help you draft the cover letters, and you review the entire application and submit it. How about that? We'll walk you through that. You'll get proper videos, and you do it on your own. So that is one area that I'm thinking of. Other areas where I'm thinking is that I feel that Canada can do much better in addressing immigrants. So let's say we are a little slow in business immigration. We should be fast in processing business immigration, helping immigrants do business easily, help regulate certain professions, but the process of regulating should be simpler and faster rather than it takes years. Let's say if you're a doctor from India or from even from France, good luck with becoming a physician in Canada. while we all know that there's a real shortage of physicians in Canada, healthcare system is really, really challenging. You have to the wait period is for years for certain cases. I mean, like many a times we feel like let's go to India and get it done and then come back.
And then come back.
Many
Yeah.
clients,
Yeah.
yes, many clients do that. Not just Indians. We have clients not only from India. We have clients so far from Morocco, Ghana, Cameroon, France, Tunisia, Dubai. Yeah, these are the countries that I could think of at this stage. And like when we talk about different countries, they have their own set of challenges when it comes to immigration, when it comes to security clearance, and all of that.
Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah.
scaling in the best way is that like help enable more and more customers to take certain part of the process on their own, and then we'll be able to cater more. And I think I should create more and more content, release it to the public so that even if they don't want to work with us, they would at least take precautionary measures that they don't fell into the trap of ghost agents. And eventually, I think slowly and slowly, like with more and more trust, I think, I don't know, maybe I could become an immigration coach
There
and,
you go.
like
Yeah.
creating a coaching program where I help international students find good programs and then apply on their own, how to
Yeah.
build good cover letters. Like, coach, this is also how I see it. I don't know how it would go though,
Yeah.
but
Well, I
yeah.
mean, the idea you have of trying to automate as much of it as possible and put it in the hands of the applicant, and then you're there to support them through the application process makes a lot of sense. Because if you're having to do all the paperwork, you're kind of constantly having to go back and forth asking them for
Yes.
the right information and stuff. So people would probably, even if they get 2/3 of it done right, that's a lot better. It's still going to speed up the process
Yes,
considerably.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We are also planning to invest into technology. There is something going on in works to help us facilitate or fasten the process, like to shortlist programs or to draft cover letters and things like that. But it is a work in progress. It could take some time. But yeah, I'm also excited for the same.
Yeah. So speaking of technology, I've got a question for you. If you could have any superpower aided by technology, what would it be?
To buy technology, you mean?
No, if you could have any superpower that's aided by technology, what would it be?
Tied to immigration?
Anything.
Superpower, like let's say I just talk and it builds the playbooks, it builds the training material so that I can scale, like I can scale a big team of like 50, 100, 500 people even.
Yeah.
Another thing, like let's say I just give an idea, it creates content for me, and then I just create the content, like for me, if I talk about myself, like sometimes to create content, I feel that I'm like overthinking that, I want to deliver the best possible content for my audience, and it gets me to the vicious circle of a never ending process. So when we say that done is better than perfect, so I have to really work on that a lot. So I would say it's like a technology that could help me, that let's do something around rejection cases. Yeah, here's the script for you. Take it and go ahead from here. Or let's say even like let's say my avatar who could do it, something like that, where I don't have to be always ready that am I looking good enough for the camera? Are the lights good? Things like that. Yeah. But it should be proprietary to me. That it should have that human value for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. So as we wrap up here, so for the audience here, if they're interested in your services, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
So the best way, like let's say if they want to reach out to me, my email is ronak.patel@rooton.ca. So RONAK dot my last name Patel PATEL @rooton.ca is my email address. And also they can reach out to my assistant. His email address is pragnesh.angiwala@rooton.ca.
Okay. Like, and I'll put that all in the description.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And also like through phone numbers, if they want to reach out, the phone number is 438-777-8458. The best thing, if somebody wants to reach out to me, the challenge that we have so far, every time people try to reach out to us, they text us, hi, and they wait. Hello, and they wait. No
Yeah.
context. We try to have automated forms and everything. Even after that, for immigration, one case is very different from another. All we are asking is that if you're trying to reach out to us, please give some context. I am this, I have done this, I have this background, and I'm looking for this specific help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something like this would help us connect with you faster, sooner, because otherwise, even 24 hours or less, to be honest,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Great.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I've learned a lot about the immigration process. I know it's incredibly complicated, but the thing that really impresses me the most about you and your company is the stuff you're doing for people to kind of for their entire lives. Not, you're trying to change lives. You're not just trying to get people a visa. So that's a really, really great thing you're doing, and keep up the great work.
Thank you very much. It was pleasure to have this call, Andy. Thank you very much.